Welcome back to a new adventure of this monad. Whenever we look into a unit of organization, it invariably fits into a larger unit. This is definitely the case of our planetary logos. Over this series of presentations, we will focus on the chains, rounds, and globes that we are all evolving through, remaining focused on the fact that we are ultimately talking about the evolution of a much greater monad, our planetary logos. Yet, even this august being is an energy center, a chakra if you will, in the body of a yet more conscious monad, our solar logos. So, if a chain can be considered as an incarnation of our planetary logos, then a series of 7 incarnations makes up a scheme of evolution. A scheme of evolution is, in the main, a separate, distinct, and self-contained field of evolution, though certain very important modifications of this general principle will be explained later. The diagram illustrates the Earth's scheme of evolution. The 7 chains are indicated with 7 globes per chain. Not shown directly is the fact that each globe passes through 7 rounds of development. It is worth noting that although there are 49 globes in a scheme, not more than one set of 7 are usually in existence at any given time. The exceptions are the corpses like our moon, which have not completely disintegrated. Now, here I run into a problem. If each chain has its 4th globe on a lower level of matter until we reach the 4th chain, the moon chain would, according to this analogy, have an etheric globe as its lowest manifestation. Yet, here we are, with a corpse on our hands, which is clearly physical. Does this mean that Leadbetter was right all along, and that there are 2 other globes visible in our solar system, Mercury and Mars, that are in fact of the Earth chain? I honestly don't know. This has been such a source of controversy. What gets even more confusing is when Leadbetter draws out the 7 schemes in the solar system and places the Earth in this collection. The Earth is not a principal planet yet, so it does not belong to this select gathering. What can be said with more certainty is that what we now call the Moon is the last remnant of a much larger globe, which was the physical planet of the 3rd chain, holding the same position in the 3rd chain that the Earth holds in the 4th chain. In the 7th round of the Earth chain, the Moon will disintegrate entirely, so that the Earth will be without a satellite. In our solar system, there are 10 separate distinct schemes of evolution. The names by which they are known are those of the physical planets which at present happen to be part of them. The 10 schemes are 1. The Vulcan scheme, 2. The Venus scheme, 3. The Earth scheme, 4. The Jupiter scheme, 5. The Saturn scheme, 6. The Uranus scheme, 7. The Neptune scheme, and 8 and 210 have no name at present, as they have no physical planets. Number 8 is sometimes called the asteroid scheme. The present stage of the 10 schemes is shown in this table. The schemes are arranged in order of the nearness of their physical planets to the Sun. The statement that in our 7th round our satellite the Moon will entirely disappear seems to be paralleled by a similar phenomenon in the case of the Venus chain. The Venus chain, being now in its 7th round, has no satellite. But some 150 years ago, a number of astronomers recorded observations of a satellite of Venus with a diameter estimated at 2,000 miles. Although it is usually supposed that those astronomers were mistaken, it seems more probable that the satellite did exist when they made their observations, but has since disappeared, as our own satellite will in our seventh round. It is stated that the material now forming the asteroids will at some time be made into a globe, which has been tentatively allocated to Scheme 8. If we prefer to call this the asteroid scheme, it would come between the Earth and the Jupiter scheme, the schemes being arranged, as already stated, in the order of the distance of their physical planets from the Sun. Blavatsky rather enigmatically stated that Neptune was not part of our solar system. However, it does revolve around our Sun. There may be some deeper esoteric meaning behind Blavatsky's statement, which we are unaware of at present. In closing off this section on the schemes of our solar system, clearly we have an unresolved set of problems. The first is that Blavatsky herself was emphatic that Mars and Mercury were not part of the Earth scheme. If this is correct, then my theory that the globes on either side of our Earth would be etheric could stand. This would not explain why, then, we have a visible corpse of the Moon in our skies. Putting this aside, let's look at the diagram of the 10 schemes that represent our solar system. Each consists of 7 chains, of 7 globes that undergo 7 rounds each. This is not how it appears in the heavens, as only one chain per scheme is active. Think of this as a collective picture. If you look within each scheme, then the number of the active globe is indicated. This would be the visible globe, and the 6 other globes would be in pralaya. It should also be noted that we have not got a clue what the unnamed schemes are up to at the moment. Depending on whether you imagine the globes of a scheme occupying a discrete location in the solar system, or one globe metamorphizing within the same coordinates of space, the solar system can be said to house 70 planets. This can be viewed as follows. We can now state that 7 globes equal 1 round. 49 globe periods equal 7 rounds, which equals 1 chain period. 343 globe periods equal 49 rounds, which equals 7 chain periods, which equal 1 scheme of evolution. Finally, 10 schemes of evolution revolve round our solar logos. Let us now study the building out of the solar system. We have painted out a broad outline of the fields of evolution. Let us now add some more detail, starting with the construction of the whole system out of atomic matter. The solar logos inhabits the highest plane of cosmic mental matter. It must be from there that the logos has a thought, and from this thought springs a ring-pass knot that contains the material that will eventually form into the globes. First, it must cascade through the cosmic emotional plane before entering the cosmic physical plane. Even then, the building matter of the schemes begin to aggregate only from planes 45 down towards plane 49. The solar logos dwells within the envelopes of even mightier beings, and the sphere of his influence extends far beyond the confines of our visible solar system. Someone once described the sphere of influence as existing halfway to the nearest star, which is about 4 light years away. This brings into focus just how stupendous such a monad is. Our system is a result of a compression of matter over an extended period of time. The logos is acting through his third aspect, and he sends out 7 impulses or breaths. Starting from plane 43 or world 43, however you wish to think of it, the atomic structure of this plane is arranged into a ring of 49 atoms. In the same way, the second plane of matter was formed from the first right at the inception of the universe. This is a repeat of that cosmic process that seeded the whole cosmos. From plane 43, plane 44 is created. Not all the material on plane 43 is used. This higher world has its own atomic plane remaining with its 6 molecular subplanes. The process of condensation repeats itself, and the atoms of plane 44 are joined into a chain of 49 units, and world 45 is born. The understanding of this process of plane formation was limited at the time of the publication of Leadbetter's book. Things have not improved. Most students of Blavatsky and Bailey follow a model assuming that this is some kind of primordial substance, which is given names such as koilon, and it is from here that you jump right into the solar system formation. Hylozoics teaches us that there are in fact 42 planes of matter above what the Theosophists call Adi. It is worth bearing in mind that although we are talking about physical processes when it comes to the various globes of a chain, these agglomerations of matter are energized by the willpower of the Logos. Should this monad lose its focus or interest in that matter, then what will hold it together? We just have to hope that our planetary Logos does not have a brain fart, or we would be in serious trouble. Back to the construction of our solar system. We have a mass of matter swirling around. Let us focus on plane 49. This is composed of atomic matter that is further differentiated into 6 molecular subplanes. These subplanes differentiate further. This is seen most clearly by us on our subplanes 49, 5 to 7, where we find a range of elements being formed. An initial sphere of incandescent hydrogen begins to flatten into a disk. This disk breaks up into rings, rather like the rings we see around Saturn. From these rings, matter aggregates and begins to form a globe. This will, when sufficiently cool, form the theater for physical life. Now, remember, if we are viewing this from the perspective of our own chain, the first globe to form would not be the Earth but the Moon. When the active life of the Moon in the third chain was over, a new vortex was set up not far away from the Moon, and the rest of the matter of the ring was gradually gathered into it. The resulting collisions once more produced a ball of glowing gas, which enfolded the body of the Moon, and very soon reduced it to a similar condition. As this combined mass gradually cooled, condensation took place around the two vortices, but by far the greater portion of matter was attracted to the new vortex, which became the Earth, leaving the Moon a much smaller body than it had been, and altogether denuded of air and water. The Moon was still, from the intense heat, in a plastic condition, like hot mud, and the Earth in its earlier stages was subject to the most tremendous volcanic convulsions. In the course of these, enormous masses of rock, often many miles in diameter, were thrown up into space, to vast distances in all directions. The majority fell back on the Earth, but some of them struck the Moon, while still in its plastic condition, and produced upon it many of those huge depressions which we now call lunar craters. Some, but not many, of the lunar craters are, however, really volcanic craters. Others are formed from plasma discharges. This is why lunar craters seem to be so uniformly round, because there was a reheating of the elements of the Moon, which eventually led to the formation of the Earth. The Moon is viewed by astronomers as being of a similar age. The metamorphized matter may be, but the original fourth globe of the Moon is billions of years older than our current planet. One day our own Earth will suffer the same fate as the Moon and will become a satellite around the fourth globe of the fifth chain, and so the planetary Logos continues its evolution. In the next presentation, we will look at the relationship between the solar Logos and the planetary Logi. Thank you.